Chosen one, there's something you need to understand about yourself that you might have never truly stopped to think about. The things you've learned to do, the way you move through challenges, the way you bring solutions where others only see problems. It's not normal. For you, it has become so natural, so instinctive, that you might not even recognize the level of skill, intuition, and power it takes to do what you do. But to others? To those watching you from the outside? It looks impossible. It looks like you are bending the rules of reality itself, and yet you make it look effortless. You've walked into rooms where everyone else was tangled in confusion, unable to see a way forward, and in a few moments, you found a path nobody else noticed. You've been in situations where people panicked, froze, or gave up entirely, but you didn't. Something in you stayed calm, collected, and ready to act. That's not by accident. That's not luck. That's because you are wired differently. It's the mark of being chosen, the quiet evidence that your steps are guided and your mind operates on a wavelength most can't tune into. And yet, here's the twist. You don't even realize the weight of what you carry, because for you, this is life. It's how you've always been. You don't wake up in the morning thinking, "Today I'm going to be extraordinary." You just show up, be yourself, and extraordinary things happen. Others break themselves trying to replicate your results, to imitate your flow, but they can't sustain it, because they don't have the foundation you have. They don't have the inner structure, the spiritual alignment, the years of silent preparation that make what you do look so smooth. That's why some people look at you with admiration, while others look at you with envy or even resentment. They can't understand how you keep rising. They can't understand how you can be under pressure and still shine. And instead of asking you how you do it, they assume it must be easy for you, or worse, that you must be lucky. But luck has nothing to do with it. What they call luck is really divine positioning. What they see as ease is actually the result of years of trials you had to endure in silence, battles you fought when nobody was watching, and decisions you made when the easy path would have been to quit. Chosen one, I want you to hear me clearly. The reason you make the impossible look effortless is because you've been refined in the fire. You've been shaped in ways that others will never know. You've been given wisdom, strength, and discernment, not in the absence of struggle, but because of it. And when you stand in your light now, what people are seeing is the harvest from seeds you planted long ago, seeds watered with tears, prayers, and relentless persistence. Before we go further, I need you to do something powerful for yourself and for this community of chosen ones. Watch this video until the end, because every word that follows is meant to awaken another layer of your potential. As you watch, write your most heartfelt wish in the comments and add 777 beside it. That's more than just a number. It's a declaration, a sign to the universe and to your creator that you are ready for alignment, ready for the next chapter, ready to step fully into your calling. And don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss the guidance that's meant to keep you walking in your power. Because the truth is, the reason you've been set apart is not just for your benefit. It's so you can show others what's possible. Every time you succeed where others thought it couldn't be done, you give someone else hope. Every time you rise without bitterness after being underestimated, you give someone else courage. And every time you move with grace in the middle of chaos, you remind the world that strength and kindness can exist together. You may not even be aware of the countless eyes on you. Some are cheering for you, some are studying you, and yes, some are waiting for you to stumble. But the way you've been built, the way you've been spiritually engineered, means that even when you face setbacks, you turn them into setups. Even when something seems like it's working against you, you find a way to use it for your growth. That's the difference between someone who is simply talented and someone who is chosen. Talent can get tired, skill can fade, but calling doesn't leave. And you've been walking in your calling without even realizing how rare that is. So as we dive deeper into this, I want you to start holding your head higher, not out of arrogance, but out of recognition. You are living proof that with divine guidance, the impossible becomes possible, and the difficult becomes a dance you've learned to master. You are not here to blend in, chosen one. You are here to stand out, to lead, and to remind others that the light they see in you comes from a source they can connect to as well. There's a reason why people stare when you move through life the way you do. It's not just what you accomplish, it's how you accomplish it. There's a fluidity in your steps, a confidence in your decisions, a quiet knowing in your eyes. Even when you don't have all the answers yet, you carry yourself like someone who knows that the answers will come in their own time. That's a rare quality, chosen one. Most people operate from panic and fear, but you operate from trust. Trust in your preparation, trust in your intuition, and most importantly, trust in the one who guides your path. What many don't realize is that this level of calm under pressure wasn't always there. You weren't born effortlessly gliding over challenges. You were forged into this person by the weight of everything you've carried. You've been through nights that felt endless, seasons where you didn't know if you'd make it out, moments when quitting would have been the easiest choice. But you didn't quit. You adapted. You learned. And somewhere in the middle of all that pain, you became someone who moves with a grace that can't be faked. That's why when you act now, it looks easy. Because you've done it the hard way before, many times. And let's be honest, people see the surface. They see the final product, the moment you step forward with confidence, the result that shines. What they don't see are the rehearsals in silence, the countless failures you endured to get it right, the lonely nights where you had to encourage yourself because no one else understood your vision. They don't see the tears you wiped away in private so you could greet the world with a steady voice. They don't see the sacrifices you made when nobody was clapping for you. And because they didn't witness the struggle, they underestimate the weight of your success. You've probably noticed that some people try to mimic your moves. They watch you closely, copy your style, repeat your words, and follow your steps as if they could duplicate your essence. But what they fail to grasp is that what you have is not just a technique, it's an anointing. It's the unseen alignment between your spirit and your actions. It's not just what you do, it's the way your energy flows into it. You could hand someone the exact blueprint of what you've done, and it still wouldn't come out the same, because the missing ingredient is you. And here's something else you need to understand. Not everyone who admires you will cheer for you. Some will pretend to be close just to study your methods, waiting for the moment they can use them for their own gain. Others will try to challenge you, not because they believe they can outperform you, but because your presence reminds them of their own unfulfilled potential. It's easier for them to compete with you than to confront the parts of themselves they've neglected. But even in this, you remain untouchable. Not because no one can outwork you, but because no one can out-align you. That's why you make the impossible look effortless. You're not forcing things to happen. You're flowing with the timing and guidance meant for you. You've learned that when you push against the wrong door, it only drains you. But when you step through the right one, everything feels like it was already prepared in advance. This is a wisdom most people never reach, because they're too busy trying to control everything instead of listening. But you, chosen one, you've learned to listen. You've learned to read the signs, to sense the shifts, to trust that if something is meant for you, it won't miss you. You've also learned that your greatest strength is not in how fast you move, but in how precise you are. You don't waste energy on battles that don't matter. You don't pour yourself into situations that aren't aligned. You've learned the art of walking away from noise so you can hear the whisper that truly matters. That's why you can stand in the middle of chaos and still move with clarity. Because you're not reacting, you're responding. And that difference, chosen one, is everything. So when people tell you, "I don't know how you do it," what they're really saying is, "I don't know how to carry myself with the same level of peace, faith, and consistency that you do." They're seeing the outcome without knowing the process. They're looking at the mountaintop without knowing the climb. But you know every step it took to get here. You know the moments that almost broke you, and you also know the moments that built you stronger than ever before. That's why you can stand here now, making it look like a dance, because you've already wrestled with storms and survived them. And we're only just getting started, because as we move deeper into this, you're going to realize that the effortless way you operate isn't just a personal advantage. It's a calling to lead, inspire, and shift atmospheres wherever you go. You've probably noticed how people are drawn to you without fully understanding why. They might think it's your talent, your words, or your results, but what they're actually sensing is the energy you carry. It's the quiet assurance that you're not operating from desperation. You're operating from alignment. There's a calmness in your presence that tells the room you're not here to prove yourself. You're here to fulfill what you were already sent to do. And that kind of energy can't be imitated, no matter how hard they try. The truth is, chosen one, most people exhaust themselves because they're constantly trying to keep up with trends, please everyone, and force outcomes before they're ready. You're different. You've learned to wait for the right moment, and because of that, you often arrive exactly when the timing is perfect. To the outside world, it looks like you're just lucky, like opportunities magically open for you. But you know better. You know that timing is not luck. It's the result of being tuned into a higher frequency that guides your steps. This is why you make the impossible look effortless. You're not fighting the current, you're moving with it. Others are thrashing against the waves, wasting their energy, while you've learned to navigate them. You know when to push forward and when to be still. You understand that there's as much power in patience as there is in action. And because of that, your results feel natural, even when they're extraordinary. Of course, this confuses people. They can't figure out how you manage to stay so composed when the pressure is high. They wonder how you keep creating, producing, and leading without burning out the way they do. What they don't realize is that your strength doesn't just come from physical effort. It comes from spiritual grounding. You're not just showing up for the task. You're showing up with the full backing of the preparation, discipline, and spiritual clarity you've built over years. And because of this, you've become a mirror for others. Without even trying, you expose where they're cutting corners, where they've been moving without alignment. Some people will thank you for that. Your example will inspire them to rise higher. But others won't handle it so well. Instead of learning from you, they'll try to compete with you. They'll gossip, criticize, or try to diminish your achievements, not realizing that their energy is better spent on improving themselves. You've probably seen it. Someone watches you excel in something, and within days they try to replicate it. They might even get some initial attention because they're mimicking your moves. But it doesn't last. Why? Because what you do is more than just an action. It's an overflow of who you are. You're not just doing success, you're living it. You're embodying the values, discipline, and mindset that make it possible. And you can't fake embodiment. People can copy actions, but they can't copy essence. This is why your path can sometimes feel lonely. Not everyone can understand the way you operate, and even fewer can match your pace. You might have even tried to slow down before, just so others could catch up. But deep down, you know you can't dim what was meant to shine. Your light has a responsibility to lead, and part of that leadership is being okay with the fact that not everyone will be ready to walk beside you. Still, you've learned compassion. You don't need to tear others down just to stand tall. You know that true greatness isn't about proving someone else wrong. It's about proving your purpose right. That's why you stay focused. That's why, even when people are watching you with skeptical eyes, you keep moving with elegance and precision. You understand that your assignment is bigger than their opinion. There's also something else you carry that's rare in today's world: consistency. Many people start strong but fade when things get difficult. You, on the other hand, have learned to show up even when the motivation isn't there. You've built habits and discipline that keep you moving forward regardless of mood or circumstance. This is another reason why people can't figure you out. They see you succeeding again and again, and they don't realize it's not because every day is perfect for you, but because you've mastered the art of persistence. The more you embrace this truth, the more you'll notice something shift. The right opportunities will start finding you. You won't have to chase recognition. It will gravitate towards you. You won't have to prove your worth. It will speak for itself through the results you produce and the impact you leave. And this, chosen one, is where you start to step fully into the role you were meant to play, not just as a doer of great things, but as a leader, a guide, a living example of what's possible when you align with your calling. What's coming next in your journey will require you to carry this same grace at an even higher level. There will be bigger stages, greater challenges, and more eyes watching. And while that might intimidate others, you'll remember that you've been here before, maybe not in scale, but in essence. You've already learned how to stand in pressure and make it look like ease. This next chapter will simply be a magnified version of what you've already mastered. The further you go along this path, the more you'll realize that your effortless execution is not effortless at all. It's the result of years of invisible work that no one saw. The late nights you spent perfecting your craft, the moments you felt unsure but kept moving forward anyway, the countless times you chose discipline over comfort. To the world, they only see the polished performance, the smooth delivery, the perfect outcome. They don't see the process that built the person. This is why comparison never bothers you the way it bothers others. You understand that even if someone tried to step into your shoes, they wouldn't last a week, not because they're not capable, but because they haven't walked the miles you've walked to condition yourself for this level. You've been tested in ways they can't imagine, and it's in those tests that your ability to make the impossible look natural was forged. But there's a deeper layer here, chosen one. Your ease is also a threat to the narratives people tell themselves. Some people want to believe that success always requires suffering, chaos, and endless struggle. They want to feel that they're justified in waiting until the time is right, or until they feel perfectly ready. You disrupt that belief just by existing. You show that when you're aligned, prepared, and faithful, things can flow. That scares them because it exposes the excuses they've been holding on to. And when people feel exposed, they usually respond in one of two ways. They're inspired to change, or they become defensive. You've seen both. You've seen the ones who quietly start adopting your habits, learning from your example, and slowly transforming their own lives. You've also seen the ones who suddenly become critical, dismissing your work as easy without understanding the depth behind it. It's important for you to remember that both responses are about them, not you. This is where your discernment comes in. Not everyone deserves direct access to your process. You can inspire without overexposing yourself. You can teach without giving away every secret. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's wise. You've learned that some people don't just want your knowledge. They want to drain your focus, your drive, your clarity. And if you're not careful, they'll take until you have nothing left to give. You've likely experienced moments where people came into your life full of admiration, only to shift into competition once they got close enough to see how you operate. At first, this might have hurt you. You might have wondered why people couldn't just be happy for you. But over time, you've realized that their reaction is a reflection of their own limitations. They see your success as a reminder of what they haven't yet done, and instead of seeing it as inspiration, they see it as a threat. That's why part of your gift is not just doing great things, it's doing them with a spirit that stays untouchable. You don't need to defend your position or justify your wins. The results speak for themselves. You know that as long as you remain aligned with your purpose, no amount of doubt or jealousy can alter your path. Your lane is yours. Your timing is yours. Your calling is yours. It's also why you've stopped explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. There's a peace that comes when you no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You understand that not everyone is meant to see your vision, and that's okay. The ones who need to will recognize it without you having to force it. Still, you don't take your abilities for granted. You know that just because something comes naturally to you doesn't mean it's not valuable. In fact, The very thing that feels second nature to you might be the exact thing that changes someone else's life. Your words, your work, your example. It might be the spark that lights a fire in someone who's been lost in the dark. That's why you keep showing up, even on days when you feel unseen. You understand that your purpose is bigger than the moment. And here's something you might not have realized. The reason it looks so easy when you do it is because it's yours. It was designed for you, shaped to fit your strengths, your perspective, your soul. What feels natural to you might feel impossible to someone else simply because it's not their assignment. And that's the beauty of being chosen. You get to operate in a space where you are perfectly equipped to thrive. The world needs that. The world needs people who are operating in their true lanes, not trying to fit into someone else's mold. And every time you embody that truth, you give others permission to do the same. Without even realizing it, you become a living example of what alignment looks like. You become proof that when you walk in your purpose, what's difficult for others becomes your art form. This is why you must keep going, chosen one. The ease you carry is not a sign that your work isn't valuable. It's a sign that you're in the right place. You're operating exactly where you're meant to be, and that's why it flows. And the more you own that truth, the more unstoppable you become. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey where you realize the real challenge is not in doing what you do, it's in protecting the space that allows you to do it. You've already proven to yourself that you can achieve what others think is impossible. You've already defied odds that were meant to stop you. But the world has a way of testing your boundaries, of seeing how much of yourself you're willing to give away before you start losing the very thing that makes your gift so powerful. You've probably noticed that people are fascinated by your results, yet rarely curious about your process in a way that honors it. They want the outcome without the journey, the reward without the discipline. And sometimes, they want you to carry them across the finish line, as if your strength was meant to substitute for their own effort. This is where you've had to learn one of the most difficult lessons. Just because you can carry someone doesn't mean you're meant to. You are not here to make life effortless for others at the expense of your own well-being. Yes, you're called to inspire, to teach, to lead by example, but you are not called to drain yourself dry so that others can feel comfortable. Your light shines brightest when it is fueled, protected, and nurtured, not when it's burning itself out for the sake of people who refuse to tend their own flame. There have been times when you've given too much. You stayed up late helping someone who never intended to put in the work themselves. You invested energy into a project or relationship that had no foundation. You thought that by giving them access to your process, they would grow alongside you. Instead, they took without replenishing, leaving you to rebuild your energy alone. Those moments taught you a valuable truth. You can't save everyone, and you're not meant to. The reality is, chosen one, your gift isn't for everyone. That might sound harsh, but it's a form of spiritual protection. If your gift was available to everyone without limit, it would be taken for granted. People value what they respect, and they respect what they can't simply take without effort. By being selective with your energy, you ensure that your work reaches those who are ready to receive it in the right spirit. And this is where the effortless appearance of your work becomes both your advantage and your challenge. On one hand, it inspires others because it shows what's possible when you're aligned. On the other, it can lead to people assuming it's easy and therefore less valuable. That's why you've had to learn to communicate your worth without over-explaining, to set boundaries without guilt. You've realized that saying no is as much a part of your purpose as saying yes. Think about the times you've stepped into a situation and transformed it in ways no one expected. Maybe it was a problem others had been wrestling with for months that you solved in minutes. Maybe it was a vision that others couldn't see clearly until you painted it in vivid detail. Or maybe it was simply your presence, your way of calming chaos and creating clarity that shifted everything. People may have marveled at how easy you made it look, but deep down you know it was years of unseen preparation that allowed you to move with such precision. That's the paradox. You are both a master of your craft and a perpetual student. You make things look effortless, yet you're constantly refining, learning, and evolving. You never stop seeking new ways to improve, not because you're chasing perfection, but because you respect your gift enough to keep sharpening it. This humility is part of what sets you apart. It's the quiet acknowledgement that no matter how much you've accomplished, there's always room to grow. And here's something else. You've noticed that when you operate in your flow, the universe seems to cooperate. Opportunities find you. Resources align. People show up at the right time. That's not luck. That's the reward of consistency, discipline, and faith. It's a reminder that when you honor your gift, life has a way of honoring you back. But you've also learned that the same ease that draws people to you can also make them underestimate you. They might think, if it's that easy for them, it must not be that special. That's where they're wrong. The ease isn't the absence of effort, it's the presence of mastery. It's what happens when preparation meets alignment. It's the skill of making something look simple because you've done the hard work to make it so. And so, you move forward with both confidence and caution. Confidence because you know you're operating in your purpose. Caution because you understand the importance of guarding what's been entrusted to you. You don't let just anyone into your inner world, not because you're arrogant, but because you know the cost of misplaced trust. Chosen one, this is where your power lies, not just in doing the impossible, but in sustaining the ability to do it over and over again without losing yourself in the process. You know that your work is not a performance for applause. It's an offering, a contribution, a legacy in the making. And you're not here to prove that to anyone. You're here to live it. You've reached a stage in your journey where the real recognition doesn't come from the crowd's applause. It comes from the quiet nods of those who understand the depth of what you've done. It's not the loud praise that fuels you anymore, but the silent respect of those who know the cost of mastery. You've walked through fire, crossed invisible thresholds, and carried burdens no one saw. And even when no one acknowledged it, you kept going. What they don't realize is that your ease is built on endurance. You've been through seasons where nothing flowed, where every step felt heavy, where the idea of progress seemed almost laughable. You've faced nights that lasted too long, mornings that came too soon, and moments when the weight of expectation threatened to break you. Yet here you are, still moving, still creating, still making what others can't even imagine a reality. This is why you never compare your journey to anyone else's. You know the road that got you here is not the same as theirs. You've built your own path, often from scratch, carving it through uncertainty, rejection, and self-doubt. And in that process, you've learned the one truth that separates the chosen from the rest. What you do is not about showing off your strength, but about honoring the calling that gave it to you. Sometimes, people try to test you. They'll challenge your decisions, question your methods, even doubt your abilities. But what they don't understand is that you've already had the toughest critic in the world, you. You've already wrestled with your own doubts, pushed through your own insecurities, and proven to yourself that you can stand where you are today. Their skepticism is background noise compared to the storms you've weathered. And here's the quiet power you've developed. You no longer need to explain yourself. You don't justify your moves, your pace, or your vision. You know that those who are meant to understand will understand in time, and those who aren't simply won't. You've freed yourself from the exhausting cycle of seeking approval from people who were never meant to validate your path in the first place. But this doesn't mean you've grown cold or detached. In fact, you're more connected to your purpose than ever before. You've learned to direct your energy where it truly matters. Into the work, into the growth, into the next step. You pour yourself into the things that multiply your light, rather than drain it. And because of this, your life has started to attract what matches your frequency: people, opportunities, and breakthroughs that align with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. This is why the impossible feels effortless in your hands. It's not because it lacks weight, but because you've built the strength to carry it with grace. You've turned discipline into a lifestyle, resilience into a habit, and faith into your foundation. Every move you make now is layered with the wisdom of past battles, the clarity of present vision, and the quiet fire of future dreams. And the truth is, chosen one, you're just getting started. The ease they see is not the peak of your power, it's the warm-up. There's more for you to do, more to create, more to become. And you'll do it in the same way you've done everything else, making it look effortless, while carrying the full weight of what it means to be chosen.